Hello, Cancer. So today we are doing another reading, and we are going to be working with the goddesses in order to receive guidance. So let's start by receiving a goddess to come forward and inform us and help us on this journey. Okay, so great goddess, I know I was just speaking to you, but now I'm here with my fellow Cancers, and we would love and be grateful for your help and your guidance on this journey. We need you to send us a goddess that will empower us and strengthen us on our journey, that will sharpen our intuitive senses and open our hearts to not fear vulnerability but to embrace it, to understand that our shell is not our weapon nor our boundary, but rather extended part of ourselves that shows our complexity, the soft flesh of our insides, the hard shell of our outsides. They're all perfect. They work in unison. They're meant to be. Allow us to embrace our full selves and help us by sending us a goddess who can help us understand ourselves more through the energy that we are moving through right now during this time in our lives as Cancers. Thank you so much for your patience, for your ever-extending guidance, and yes, please speak to us. Who is the goddess that wants to come forward? Bronwen, forgiveness. Now, if you could understand what's happening in my life right now, you would understand why I said that. I've been feeling really emotional these past few days. I guess I'll get vulnerable with you because we're all Cancers here. I've been feeling very emotional these past few days, and trigger warning to anyone who needs it, because I was in a relationship that I guess you could say was abusive, and I'm personally a survivor of sexual violence, and I've been trying to date again, and trying to date men specifically. I'm queer, but I'm trying to explore dating men, and it's been very difficult, and I'm realizing that I have trust issues, which I knew that, I would have trauma and things like that, but I didn't realize how strong it is and how unsafe I feel, just talking to men online, and it's really, really hard to feel like someone isn't trying to get something out of me. And yesterday was the full moon in Pisces and the eclipse, and that was something that I noticed. I just noticed that I've got a really heavy guard, a really heavy wall up. So it's funny that forgiveness is who comes through, as well as at the back of the deck, radical acceptance, and then, just because it really does fit, new beginnings. And to top that all off, we have water. I think that these are the three goddesses that we're going to leave out for today. Bronwen, Freya, and Loistre. Somebody tell me how to pronounce her name if you know more than me. Forgiveness, radical acceptance, and new beginnings for water. Okay, I'm going to put them right here. They're going to be our guiding light, and we are going to get into our reading. If you are someone like me, doesn't have to be in the exact same position, but who is also finding that you're on a journey to re-embracing life and people and being open to new experiences and new connections after heartbreak or heartache or loss in any area of your life, it doesn't need to be love, this is the reading for you. Okay, Cancers. Goddesses, please speak to us now. What is the message that you would like to bring forward? What are the messages that you would like to bring forward? The end of a cycle, for sure. We have the Eight of Swords reversed. I was shuffling the deck reversed, but I'm going to keep it reversed. We have the Eight of Swords reversed. You know what? Maybe I'll turn it upright. Ooh, my hands are a little shaky. I was just emotional. I guess, I don't know. I'm not a big crier, the way that Cancers are painted to be super crying people, emotional people, but I am emotional. I'm sensitive. It's not super easy for me to get tears out, but it's easy for me to feel, the weight of everything. And yeah, I think it's just been a journey of realization these past few days around where I'm at relationship-wise, and it's hard because sometimes I start to feel like I'm broken or defective, and I'm so tired because I feel like I've been healing for so long. So the idea that there's more healing to be done, and I know that it's never done, but the idea that there's more healing to happen and that I could potentially be removed from the ability to have love in my life until I fix this issue. It's so daunting and it's so scary, and I know that that's probably not the reality, but that's how it feels sometimes when you have a realization like that. You just start to feel like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to be able to experience anything good until I solve this problem about myself. But I feel like part of where the forgiveness is coming in is forgiveness of self, Oftentimes with Cancers, I actually think that we forgive others pretty easily. But where we tend to struggle with forgiveness is forgiving our own intuition, forgiving our own senses, forgiving ourselves for where we have fallen into situations that didn't serve us or that weren't great for us. Because you start to question whether you can rely on your own perspective, whether you can trust yourself. And you start to feel like your own senses are not reliable. And part of that healing process is coming back into a space of union with your own intuition, with your own senses, and realizing that you can trust yourself and that it wasn't your fault. We can't catch everything. We're not superhuman. We're not perfect. We weren't designed to be. And that doesn't mean that we were made to have trauma and we were made to experience horrible things. But it does mean that we were made to realize that we are more valuable than our gifts. We are important beyond our ability to nurture and care for and sense and predict. We are mothers, but we are human. We are individuals. We are children. And we deserve to be cared for, and we deserve to make mistakes and get the chance to learn from them and grow. We don't have to come out fully formed, perfect, and able to see all. And so I think there's a bit of healing coming in around that. Okay, we have the Knight of Pentacles coming out. My nose is getting a little itchy. So you have the Eight of Swords and the Knight of Pentacles. I hope you guys don't mind how long it's taking to get into this. Oh. Yeah, and then with Freya, we've got this radical acceptance of self. Well, we've got the Knight. This radical acceptance of self. What is it about ourselves that we've kind of always struggled to accept is part of our story, part of our lineage, part of our inheritance, part of who we are. There's always something that you're like, oh, you know what, that's the thing I'm going to evolve out of. That's the thing that I'm going to change. That's the thing that I got from something else, but I don't want that, so I'm going to find a way to change that. There's always something, but usually, sometimes, that's the part that is most interesting about us and most worthy of being considered and contemplated, because there's some type of secret, there's some type of magic there. And really what it holds is the key to wholeness within ourselves. Because if we were just exactly as we wanted to be, we wouldn't really be who we are, right? It's like the way that you remember who you were as a kid is not who you were as a kid. And I'm being reminded of that every day because I'm working with children, and they're so crazy. But they're so interesting and complex, and they're very grown despite being so small. And you forget, you see these kids as like just innocent little creatures, and they're evolved in ways that sometimes we end up actually stripping back as we get older. And there are pieces of ourselves that we consider unnatural or something to be conquered that are actually some of the most natural parts of ourselves, deserving of being embraced. And then we've got new beginning here. And it's really interesting that this new beginning is coming in really close contact with our third eye, because I really do feel like this new beginning is connected to our senses. I feel like, in some sense, we're having a sensual awakening, and not sensual in the sexual context, but sensual in the feeling and the intuitive context. Especially with the night here, I feel like our psychic vision is sharpening in a way that is a lot more grounded and feels safe in the daylight. It used to be a thing where we could see the best in the darkness. We required mystery. We required shadows. We required lostness and heartbreak in order to find ourselves, in order to shift. We needed to be in a place of chaos and trauma in order to break through. We always needed a tower moment to awaken our psychic ability. But I think we're getting to a space where we are finding that we are able to channel that part of ourselves that is an intuitive lighthouse. We're able to channel that into our daily lives, into the more mundane, slow living parts of ourselves. The parts of ourselves that really make up the most of our reality. I think that we are becoming more in touch with our intuition and our wholeness of self. And that really is a new beginning. Because when you are able to move in flow with a greater vision, in every area of your life, rather than just the areas that have trauma or the areas that are deeply triggering, your whole life begins to look and feel very different. And a lot more joy is available to you, because your intuition isn't always just working overtime on the areas of your life that are hurting you, but are actually working to expand and evolve the areas of your life that are great and help them get even better, which is what we deserve. We are healers, and so we're always focused on the sick and the weary and those who are facing devastating loss in the parts of ourselves that have been traumatized and that are in need of nurturing and structure and care. We dedicate our lives to fixing and rejuvenating and healing. But healers can also work within the spaces that are good, within the spaces that are light, within the spaces that are dreamy and gifted and hold beautiful potential. We don't always have to work in the caves, in the canyons, in the war zones, in devastation. We are allowed to use our healing abilities in spaces that also fill and nurture us and don't just tear us down, don't just take from us, don't just provide us with experiences that are traumatizing and scary. We're allowed to shift. You don't have to work within that space just because you have healing abilities. You can do something that feels good and still be using your gifts and still be giving to the world and still be nurturing and mothering the way that we all desire to. Because we got to take care of ourselves first, right? That's what they all say. But Cancers, it's just because we have such capacity to hold and to understand that we just do it. We move through it all. We live within the chaos of it all. But I feel that we are deserving of something a little bit more calm, you know? Yeah, it's kind of like, how long has this story worked for us? Where Cancers are all about being the healers, and we go into the places that nobody else can go, and we fix. And it's not just Cancers, it's really water signs, you know? It's really the feminine. We go and heal where no one else can. You know, we go and we nurture and we create life and we fix and we work and we labor through it all because we're needed and someone's got to do it and we can do it. We have the capacity. But look at what's happening to mothers on this planet right now. Look at what's happening to our earth. Burnt out, overworked, to the point where there are so many women saying they don't want children, to the point where our earth is having to destroy parts of herself in order to save herself. Cancers are absolutely connected to that energy. You know, what parts of ourselves are we having to destroy in order to save our greater self? And what is coming through as the greater self? What was coming through as something that actually, you know, at one point we thought was everything, but is actually disposable? What's the priority? What's the priority? Because it's not the children. It's not your fertility. It's not your ability to create endlessly and to care endlessly and to nurture endlessly. That's not what defines who we are. It's not our sensitivity. It's none of that. Because right now, looking at what the earth has to do, all these wildfires, all these floods, it's quite brutal. It's not super nurturing. So who really are we at our core? All the women that are taking a stand and either saying we're not having children or we're not going to work within this system and continue to self-sacrifice. It's quite sharp. It's quite blunt and brutal and cutthroat and selfish. And rightfully so. So who are we really? What is really defining about Cancers, about us, about our journey? What is really important to us? What is your soul calling you to do? What does heaven on earth look like for you? What area of your life is experiencing the most transformation right now? And why? And is it experiencing a transformation in the sense that it is evolving rapidly and growing into opportunities, or is it falling apart? And is that maybe a signal to what you don't need to be paying attention to and where your attention should be going? Because right now we are actually in quite intuitive flow. We are being guided. And where there's areas of our life that are experiencing a lot of tension, and struggle and are falling apart, maybe we shouldn't try and fight it. Maybe we shouldn't try and overanalyze and understand what's happening there. Maybe we should just let that happen. Right? Because everything that happens with us is full body intuition. So somehow, some way, we understand what's happening there and why it's happening. So just let it happen. Don't overuse your mind to try and understand it. Where are you being spotlit? Where are there opportunities coming up? Where are you being seen? That's where our attention and our energy should be moving towards. We should only be focusing on what fills us up. We don't need to do the work of the world and try and understand all the things that are falling apart and why. That's not our job. We have decided that. We've taken on that labor for a very long time. And now there's been a switch. And in deciding that that's not your job, well then what is our job? What is our purpose? What is our value and our passion? What moves us? That's really coming into question right now. And what's the answer? Because it's showing up in areas of your life where you are beginning to find forgiveness in yourself and softness and awakening and a gentle spirit, and where it's more rugged and rough and brutal. Can you identify the areas of your life where those energies exist? And what does that mean? I think it's time to start fresh and reconsider where we've been putting our attention. I see this in career especially. What kind of work we choose to do, how we choose to labor, how we choose to use our energy, our body, our emotional body, our intuitive body, our physical body, our mental bodies. Because our shell is our body, just as much as our flesh, just as much as our soul. How are we using it? And is the environment that we work within, is it taking care of us? These are all really important questions, I think, that the goddess is asking us to ask ourselves right now. Because as the mother of the zodiac, they follow in our footsteps. And we are what helps propel the rest of the energies into new movement, into revolution, into evolution. So what we do really matters. And how we take care of ourselves and how we show up for ourselves and what we choose for ourselves really matters. And we've always been fighters. We've always been resilient. We've always been strong and brave and courageous and self-sacrificing. We've always been martyrs. And where has that really gotten us? And where has that gotten this planet? Because we are finding that people take advantage of that. Right? You can't just assume that people are going to value that. We're learning from the ways of our ancestors, from the experiences of our grandmothers, our mothers, our aunts, our sisters, our earth. We're learning that we need to have stronger boundaries and that we need to prioritize ourselves and what really fills us up. And we need to be able to identify what is worth saving and what is able to be sacrificed and still maintains who we are. Because when you start to lose parts of yourself that are a part of your core self, because people aren't able to take care of you, and you certainly aren't able to take care of yourself because you've entrusted other people to take care of you, and all they do is use and take and strip, then a change has to be made. And then you have to evolve because you're no longer the self that you once were. There is massive death and massive transformation coming through. And there are parts of ourselves that have been lost. But what will come up in place of those are our granddaughters, our descendants, the future versions of ourselves that will be stronger because of it and informed because of it. And we will feel the grief of the parts of ourselves that we lost. But we will carry on because we have to. And the future we will create with that knowledge will be so much more loving and caring and gentle towards the Cancerian spirit, towards the feminine spirit, the mother, the woman, the nurturer, the creator, the caretaker, the one who has always been defined by what they can do for others. It's actually really about what we can do for ourselves. That's the most powerful thing. And that's what we deserve to focus on right now. So let go of your defenses and your weapons and all your things used to protect and care and show up for everybody else. And let's start to look at what we need to prioritize within ourselves and let everything else fall away. Where is your life pointing you towards? Where are there spotlights? Focus on that. Everything else doesn't really matter. Okay? Thank you, Cancer. Bye.